Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. They always put me after Sheikh Yasir every single year, man. So it's not just your sunnah to do the takbir, it's my sunnah to follow your takbir. There's literally nothing I can do to maintain that energy. So, Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. But may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward each and every single one of you and all of the organizers and all of the volunteers. Look around you. Isn't this incredible? SubhanAllah, it's truly an incredible scene to see all of these people that are coming together to re-energize and to recommit to something that is too precious to us to be taken away by a white supremacist president or by a white supremacist terrorist inspired by him on the shores of New Zealand. I actually want to frame what I'm going to speak about tonight, inshallah ta'ala, within a spiritual concept at the individual level that we can connect to ourselves at a community level. We talk about this idea of ihsan, of excellence. I think about the Islamic museums that you go to and you see the amount of detail that's been put into these glasses and gems and calligraphy and frames and buildings that distinguished Muslims from others in their civilizations, paying attention to things that other people would not pay attention to, putting a level of excellence that was found in their individual lives into their art and into their work as well, and setting themselves apart, and as a result setting the ummah apart as well. And think about a teacher of mine who said about one of my mashayikh, he said that this is a man who has spent a lot of time working on himself. And I really admired that sentence. This is a man that spent a lot of time working on himself. He's a particular sheikh that exerts himself in spirituality and in ibadah and worship and in bettering his character, refining his character in a way that left his students in awe. And he said, this is a man that spends a lot of time working on himself. And I thought, what a beautiful way to describe him. What a beautiful way to encapsulate ihsan, excellence, when talking about a person. And you look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and you pick up Shamal Muhammadiyah, Shamal al-Tirmidhi, and you start to read the descriptions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and you look at the attention to detail, the little things that he did sallallahu alaihi wasallam that spoke to a greater purpose and that spoke to a greater excellence that he had, that set himself apart. Things that people never even used to consider part of basic courtesy. No one used to do the things the Prophet ﷺ used to do that elevated his character and in the process elevated everything and everyone around him. No one used to do those things. But you read detail by detail and you say, this is a man ﷺ who really worked hard on himself to distinguish himself. And the tarbiyah that he had was from none other than the Creator himself, who purified the Prophet ﷺ and placed him on an exalted standard of character for all of us to admire and to emulate. There is not a single aspect of our lives, individual, family, or community, religious, social, or political, that we can look at the Prophet ﷺ and find him to set a standard that leaves us in constant pursuit of a better version of ourselves, alayhi salatu wassalam. And you think about what greatness looks like in terms of motivation. And I want you to think about people that excel in any area of life. People that have a high work ethic genuinely have a higher sense of motivation. What people are motivated towards is irrelevant in that sense. The higher your motivation, the more that it will be demonstrated in your work ethic, the more that it will be demonstrated in your habits as an individual or as an organization. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He talks about us as Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. That the way that the true believer loves Allah is unlike anyone else loves anything else. The way that the believer is motivated by a special relationship with the divine. The standards that are set for that person that is always in competition with himself, with the sunnah as a standard of the perfect example of how to be a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a true worshipper and slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The way that love is demonstrated, the way that love motivates a person is unlike the capacity of anything else to motivate or anyone else to be motivated by. It's special. But you look at people and you see them distinguished in their work, distinguished in their worship, distinguished in their character, distinguished in their worldly pursuit, distinguished in their knowledge, and you say, this is a person that has worked on themselves, that spent a lot of time working on themselves. You think of the workplace and you think of a person that wants to better themselves in their craft. And without their employer mandating it on them, put themselves through conference after conference, workshop after workshop, program after program on how to raise the standard of their work, even though everyone around them is telling them that their work is already excellent, but there is something else that motivates them. There is a higher goal. What this looks like, dear brothers and sisters, for us is similar to a bodybuilder who excels by paying attention to the parts of the body and to the regimens that other bodybuilders don't. They don't just focus on the biceps or the calves. They work on every single muscle and every single bone in between to make sure that they are comprehensively built for the challenges that lay ahead, built for the competitions to excel and to keep setting new standards for themselves to shatter. What this looks like for us in our spirituality is this one concept of ihsan, this one concept of excellence. تعبد الله كأنك تراه, that you worship Allah as if you can see Him. And if you can't see Him, then you know that He sees you. You are motivated by the sight of Allah. Taqwa, which is the goal of Ramadan, is to become aware of the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon you in a way that you will not disobey Him lightly, that you will be afraid of disobeying Him out of honoring His sight upon you. Ihsan, excellence, is that you're not only aware of Allah's sight upon you, but you are always in active observance of that sight of Allah upon you by elevating your good deeds for His sake, boosting their quality. Taqwa, as the companions explained it, it's like a person that's walking between thorny bushes, making sure they don't get hit by the ma'asi, hit by the forms of disobedience that would distance themselves from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they're in constant observance of the sight of Allah upon them. When they're right about to sin, they remember that Allah is watching them. Ihsan is the next level. Ihsan is that I can do better. I can excel. That my good deeds, whether other people are observing them or not, are always observed by Allah, and I should elevate them. I should not just be aware of Allah's sight upon me, I should honor Allah's sight upon me. And so even when people set a standard of goodness, the one that I'm working for is so much better. الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي السَّرَّاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ, the ones who spend in hardship and in ease. We'll get Dr. Altaf back on here to fundraise, inshallah, right after this. Spend in hardship and in ease. Why? No one expects you to spend in hardship. You expect that of yourself. Because you know that the one who gives you in ease also gives you in hardship. You know that the one who provides you when you had a more comfortable bank account provides you when things are a little bit tighter. And you know that Allah is worth the sacrifice, whether it is easy or harder. وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ, they swallow their anger even when their anger is justified. Why? Because they're not trying to win the argument. They're trying to win the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even when there's an opportunity to manifest that anger in a way that a person would think that they will rise in dignity because of the way that they express an anger in that context, they swallow it because they would rather lower themselves so that Allah exalt them. وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ, and they pardon people even when it's unexpected of them. You don't spend the last 10 nights of Ramadan saying, Allahumma innaka afuwan kareemun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. Oh Allah, you are the one who pardons, you are benevolent, you love to pardon, so pardon us, and then not show any of that grace in your own life. It's more. You push yourself. There's ihsan, there's excellence, there is looking for something higher, there's pushing yourself beyond what anybody else expects of you. And now I want us to actually connect that to our community work. Let's take a moment and connect that to our community work. There are two concepts in Islam that are very similar. There's ihsan and there's itqan. What did I just say? There is ihsan and itqan. I want you guys to memorize these two words and memorize the meanings of these words, inshallah ta'ala, when you go home. I know this isn't a classroom, it's a convention, but I want you to memorize them and I want you to be able to repeat what I'm about to say. Ihsan refers to higher motivation. Can you all say that? I know Sheikh Yasir's takbir was so much better. Ihsan refers to higher motivation. Itqan refers to a higher work ethic, a higher methodology in accordance with that higher motivation. You don't have to repeat that. Ihsan is the drive. Ihsan is the motivator. Itqan is the perfection in work, the attention to detail and methodology. For us, that methodology is the Prophet ﷺ, his sunnah, putting it into work, putting it into action. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah has prescribed excellence upon all things. وَأَحْسِنُوا فِي الذَّبْحِ. Even if you're sacrificing, sacrifice with excellence. And the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ إِذَا عَمِلَ أَحَدُكُمْ عَمَلًا أَنْ يُتْقِنَهُ. That Allah loves that if any one of you carry out an action, that they do so with perfection, with excellence, with attention to detail. Ihsan refers to the drive, the motivation. Itqan refers to how that manifests itself, particularly in regards to your work, particularly in regards to your attention to detail, and in regards to how this all plays out. So in our ibadah, for example, in our worship, with your salah, with your prayer, you're supposed to have a sense of ihsan. You're supposed to be looking for something higher, worshiping Allah as if He can see you. So whether you're praying in jama'ah and congregation and there are people around you, or you're praying in your room, the only sight that you were considering throughout both of those contexts was the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon you. And so there won't be a drop-off in your prayer. If anything, when it's private, it'll be better. There's no interference in this. You don't speed it up when no one else is around. You read properly even when you're alone. You don't rush your sajda, your prostration, because you're alone, because it was Allah watching you in the masjid and Allah watching you in your bedroom. And so you act for His sight. And Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah describes this in a very beautiful way. He describes khushu', humility in the prayer, and how it should transform our body language. He said that the heart is like the general, the commander of an army, and the limbs are the troops. So if a person is moving around a lot and their arms are moving all over the place and they're scratching their head the whole time and picking their nose, Muslims do that, doing stuff, moving their arms around, looking around, that means that the heart hasn't achieved stillness. The general is off, the motivation is off. And so it's manifesting itself in a sloppy prayer, right? And if you think about that, I love the way the companions made connections between their lives and that. You all know the Surah Al-Mutaffifin. Allah talked about shortchanging people very early on in the Quran, cheating with weights. Omar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, "La tatfif fi salatik." Don't shortchange God with your prayers. Don't shortchange Allah with your prayers. Cut a little bit from here, cut a little bit from there. Allah deserves better from you. Elevate your prayers. Don't speed them up. Take your time. Read properly. Achieve a sense of stillness. Don't shortchange God with your prayers. Allah deserves better from you with your prayers. Now, what does this mean in regards to our community work, and in regards to our work ethic, and in regards to our organizational work? And here's where I want you to really pay attention. We have to stop excusing poor habits in the name of sincerity. And we have to stop excusing bad work in the name of service. What does
this mean? It's very hard for a person that's doing something that's charitable, something that's good, doing something that's service-oriented, something like a volunteer would do, and be criticized for their work ethic. It's very easy for us to justify sloppiness ourselves. Why? Because I'm just doing it fi sabilillah. I'm not getting paid for this. I don't get paid to deal with this. Who said that the only form of payment is money? Who are you acting for? We can't justify bad organization, bad work ethic, sloppiness, sloppy work ethic, laziness in the name of sincerity and service. No, if you're working for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it better be distinguished. If you're worshiping Allah for Allah, then it better be distinguished accordingly. And if you're working for Allah, then it better be distinguished accordingly. You should have it on to match your ihsan. Everyone in here who's a volunteer, who's working in some effort, ICNA, YM, Mass Youth, MSA, MIST, whatever it is that you're working in, your masjid, your local group, your charity, all of those types of things. Who are you working for? And show me how that shows excellence in your own work ethic. We can't keep saying it's fi sabilillah. It's in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, I don't have to worry about things. And by the way, as a community, let me tell you something from a political perspective too. And I just came from New Zealand. Let's not expect mobility as a result of attacks against the Muslim community to be a continuous thing. I don't want another New Zealand. I saw those shuhada and I envy those shuhada, and I'm sorry for them. I feel a great sense of pain for their families. We don't need another New Zealand to wake the world up to the beauty of Islam. We shouldn't be counting on stuff like that for mobility. We should be working to show the beauty of Islam, not waiting for someone to do something terrible to our community to say, well, alhamdulillah. Certainly, alhamdulillah, through everything. But we have to do something about our religion. We've been given enough to be motivated towards. We've been given enough to work. And I'm going to tell you another thing. I always say this to my own allies, to the faith leaders, our Christian brothers and sisters, Jewish brothers and sisters, other organizations, other people that, other faith communities, other allies that come to our aid as a Muslim community. I love you, but I don't want to need you. As much as we appreciate our allies, and some of them are amongst us, we should not have to depend upon other people to work for us and with us. We should instead be seeking to be the upper hand, not the lower hand. I want to be the one doing the comforting. I want our communities to be doing the comforting. I don't want everyone else to have to come to our aid. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Al-yad al-ulya khayrun min al-yad al-sufla." The upper hand is better than the lower hand. Al-yad al-ulya hiya al-munfiqa. The upper hand is the giving hand, the lower hand is the receiving hand. I don't want anyone else to have to come to the aid of the Muslim community. I want the Muslim community to be the community that rushes towards other people's sides because we believe it's the right thing to do, not because it's some sort of opportunistic venture and good PR for the Muslim community, but because we are a community that is called to stand with the vulnerable, that is called to stand with the oppressed, and that is supposed to be trying to get itself and others out of a state of being perpetually oppressed and victimized. Don't tell me the Muslim community doesn't have the capacity. We have donors, we've got professionals, we've got volunteers, we've got young people. Our masajid are full of young people. We've got everything in our community to be a vibrant community, and we have to get out of this mindset of wanting other people to stand with us and instead stand for ourselves with the principles that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us, while appreciating the genuine compassion that is shown towards our community. I think of Auf ibn Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, who says that we gave bay'ah to the Prophet ﷺ, we gave allegiance to the Prophet ﷺ, Allah nasalu nasa shay'a, that we won't ask people for anything. The Prophet, peace be upon him, took a pledge with us. not to ask people for things, to be independent physically, emotionally, mentally, as much as you can, financially, individually and as communities. Strengthen yourselves. Get to a place where you don't need people, but you are there for other people instead. And Auf said that the companions that took that pledge with the Prophet ﷺ, we took it so strictly that if one of us was on a horse or a camel and we dropped something, that we wouldn't ask anyone else to pick it up for us. We'd get down and we'd pick it up ourselves. That's discipline. That's ihsan combined with itqan. The Prophet ﷺ didn't say that no one can pick your stuff up for you if it drops off, but they were disciplined and conditioned to where you get off the camel and the horse and you pick up your own whip, you pick up what fell down, and you stand on your feet as much as you can as a community and as individuals. Try to be in a position where you don't need anybody but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let that higher motivation demonstrate itself in a higher work ethic. Dear brothers and sisters, I've already heard Al-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz, Malcolm X rahimahullah, referenced multiple times in this convention, as he's always mentioned in these conventions. When Malcolm was in prison, he didn't have his own autobiography to read. He had to author his own story. It wasn't a dua that made him as eloquent as he was. It might have been a dua, a sincere prayer that started it, but he stopped there and copied the dictionary out twice to where he could hold his own in Ivy League schools around the country and in the Oxford Union with a primary education and debate Harvard professors and Columbia professors and people in the most prestigious of places and shine the way that he shined. That wasn't just a prayer. That wasn't just a high sense of motivation. That wasn't just God-given eloquence. There was work behind that. Malcolm didn't trust you if you didn't have a watch on. He was always exactly on time. And sometimes when I talk about Malcolm, I say, you know, he probably wouldn't like me very much because I'm not on time all the time. But there was something else about that. There was a work ethic, there was dedication, there was discipline, there was itqan to match the ihsan, there was a higher work ethic to match a higher motivation. And so you know what, dear brothers and sisters? Your enemies are going to grow. People will always hate Islam. People will always try to intimidate and talk our community. We're going to have more protests. We're going to have more people that will try to incite us. We're going to have more people that will try to emotionally terrorize us as well, to where we don't want to go to our masajid anymore or be too publicly and visibly Muslim. All that is going to happen. But I'm going to say to you exactly what I felt in New Zealand. They don't hate Islam more than we love it. They don't hate Islam more than we love it. They don't hate Islam more than we love it. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. Those who love Allah, love Him more, and are motivated by that love more than any other pursuit that could possibly exist. And you know what? Instead of falling into their loneliness and trying to fight back in the protest and letting them intimidate and incite, let's give them more to protest about. Let's make them matter. Let's continue to insist on our community's progress and on the progress of the country as a result of that progress. Let's out-organize them. Let's out-fund them. Let's out-resource them. Let's outlast them. Let's outdo them with our own presence. That's itqan. That is excellence in work. We have the resources, we have the potential, and we have to look inside ourselves and understand that Allah has given us something precious to unlock within us. But they don't hate Islam more than we love it. And each and every single one of us that claims to be in pursuit of Allah's pleasure, show me how that is in your community work. Stop waiting for other people to appreciate you and set standards for you. And I should end with this because I usually would like to draw people's attention to the volunteers and say, make sure you thank the volunteers on your way out. They've done an extraordinary job, mashallah, tabarakallah. This is not licensed.
I want to be clear. Everything I just said is not license for you to abuse volunteers and to not be grateful to people who do community work. Instead, what it is that we who choose to take upon ourselves the honor of doing the work of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do not count on anybody else's appreciation to continue to move us forward. Allahumma sta'amilna wa la tastabdilna. Oh Allah, use us, do not replace us. Oh Allah, make us worthy of doing this work. Do not bring about a people that are better or better at doing it, and put them in this place of virtue. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala use us for this good. May Allah put ihsan and itqan in our individual, in our family, in our community lives, in every way possible. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.